Okay, so just let me say this up front. Heavy spoilers for Radiant Historia, probably Lost Odyssey, and probably this game, Horizon Zero Dawn. All right, just putting it out there. Let's get on with it. I'm here mainly to talk about Radiant Historia. All right, so originally I played the game back when it released on Nintendo DS. But back then, since I was an idiot and a stupid idiot who does not understand and is stupid, I kind of didn't get into it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole time mechanic and the going back and forth. I was not a fan, and the combat was challenging and good, but I didn't like it, right? So I kind of dropped it, and then I always wanted to go back and play it because when that game released and throughout the years, a lot of people, a lot of my friends and media and stuff have said, "Oh no, this game is one of the good games, like one of the good story-driven games that is like really, really good. You gotta play it, you gotta try it. It's one of the DS's best games in the whole catalog for DS games. It's really, really good." And I was always interested, and then they launched it out for Nintendo 3DS, the definitive edition or whatever you want to call it. Perfect Chronology, I think that's the like this the sub name, the name under the name doesn't matter. So and I bought it because I'm like, okay, great, I can finally sit down, play the game, enjoy it, and move on. See what the fuss was about. So I bought it and then I didn't play it for a long time, and then when I found myself stuck on having to play a game for DS because I had no access to consoles for a long time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and play it, and let's see what the fuss was about. So I sat down, I played it, I just sat down, played through the whole thing. It was a really good game. It is really good. I'm not a super huge fan of it. Like I enjoyed the story. The characters are really realistic. Like I think the best way I could describe that game is, it's really, I don't want to say honest, but it's really it's real. Like I got immersed in the world, in the story, and the characters, and what was going on. Like a quick overview, not overview, just a review, I guess. That's what I'm trying to do. I know the video is not about that, but let's just. So I really think everyone should play it if they own a Nintendo DS and they haven't played it before. It is really good. It came out for 3DS, so play it for the 3DS. It's the better version. Even if what they added wasn't that great, like it wasn't necessary, they did add a conclusion which I liked, but I thought it was like okay, it's kind of convenient, but sure, great. It's still a really good game. And everyone should play it if they have a 3DS. It's one of those games that, yeah, you should have and play. If you don't like turn-based combat, then you'll hate it. And if you don't like turn-based combat that's actually difficult and like will beat the shit out of you, then just don't. The game does have like a super easy mode that lets you just ignore fighting in turn-based combat, except the main fights like bosses and special enemies, and everything else you just hit. Like if it was an action RPG, you just hit it once and it dies, and you get the experience. So it's a game that I can recommend to people and say just play it for the story. There's a mode that lets you just fly through it for the story, and I think that's great. The soundtrack is really, really good. Of course, it's really, really good. If I'm not mistaken, it was composed by Yoko Shimomura, the best. So it's really good. It's a really good game overall. Not something that I want to die for, but I'm glad I played it, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who likes RPGs, likes story-driven experiences, likes games about war and like what it does to a man and stuff like that. I think it's really good. And here's what I want to get into. Okay, here's what I got to get into. The main character of that game, Stock, I really liked him. So every time I was just back then when I did play it, it was just because I was locked in a room and I just had nothing to do. So I just sat down and ate that game, and like that took me a while, but whatever. And whenever I would get an opportunity to talk to a girl I was dating back then, she would ask me, "Okay, so what are you doing? What are you playing now?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm playing this game," and then I would talk to her about it. And if you are a person who talks to people about games, you could understand that talking about it really helps you like just express everything and have all your emotions there so that you could understand what you're feeling with the game, how it's making you feel at the time and place, what you're thinking. Like it's just nice to just convey your thoughts out to someone or no one, which is what I'm doing. So anyway, and there was one thing that I kept having a problem with in that game, and I would tell her, look, the game is really good. The story is incredibly interesting, and everything so far it's really up there. There's one problem I have with the main character, and it's that he's dead. He's just nothing. The dude is no emotions. He's a robot. He just nothing. And every time that I would talk to her, I would bring that up. Like whenever, oh yeah, you still playing that game? What's happening in the game? What are your thoughts? Oh, it's good. It's great. Super. Tremendous. The main character is just nothing, dude. Nothing. I did point out, and I'll never forget because it was a really big deal. The game does something at one point where a character, his like brother in arms, was super best friend, is like, yo, go meet up with the general or whatever, and I'll meet you there. And then your character leaves the room and stands in the hallway and just waits for his friend to come out and go to the general. And then I should just say names because this is confusing. So Rosh, which is his best friend and main character, Stock, they're talking to someone, and then Rosh says, yo, Stock, go meet the general. And then Stock is like, I mean, okay. And then he walks out and stays in the hallway. You don't get to see what Rosh is doing, your buddy. You don't. You just stand in the hallway and wait. And then your buddy comes out, Rosh, and he's like, what are you doing? I told you to go meet with the general. And Stock is like, are you kidding me? I was not going to go there without you. You know me. I cannot talk to people. I got nothing. And I thought that was really, really good because, yes, you're making it obvious. Like, the main character is a robot, but he knows that. Like, look, dude, I'm bad at small talk. I'm bad at talking to people. I barely say a word. I'm dead inside. So I wasn't going to go there because that was going to be awkward. And I thought that was a really good idea. Just make it apparent, make it clear, because everyone would say, oh, no, he's distant. Oh, no, Stock. Yeah, no, he's distant. He doesn't talk a lot. And he just goes and gets the job done and just leaves. And that's what he does. And that's why he worked in, like, the, not the FBI, like the special ops people. It was like an infiltrator or whatever. That was his mission in one of the timelines. I won't get in on the story or whatever. I recommend people play it. So I thought, okay, cool. The game is making it clear that it's not just he's an edgelord and he's quiet and he's dead inside because it's cool, but he knows that that's something that he is, like that's who he is, and okay, he's just not going to trouble people with that. And I thought that was really neat. So turns out at that time, that same person that I was talking that I would talk to about the game was playing was she? No, she wasn't. Yeah, she was. She was playing Horizon Zero Dawn. And that game, a lot of people liked that game because not only is it really good, but the main character, the main character's so good. The main character's one of those good characters. So this is, and now we're going to get into the subject. This is just rambling, but now's the subject. I have to commend Radiant Historia for making a main character that is a lone wolf and is a loner and is quiet and is dead inside and does not portray emotion. And they did that from the beginning of the game all the way through the end. He starts opening up a little more with people, but it's not like he does that. It's not the main character trope, the stereotypical, he's a lone wolf, but now he's got a heart of gold and he's going to start opening up to people and telling everyone his secrets and everything's super great and he's changed. Oh my God, he's such a completely different character by the end of the game. They didn't do that. And I found that very refreshing because they give the best possible explanation as to why he was so quiet and so dead inside. And I thought that's something that should be remembered throughout history. And that's why I think Radiant Historia, history, anyway, that's why I think Radiant Historia is a game that everyone should play, because that game deserves praise because it did something that not a lot of games do well. And that's why I brought up Lost Odyssey and Horizon Zero Dawn. So those two games, they portray a very human, a very like realistic character. And that's it's one of their driving forces. Like if you think about Lost Odyssey, I don't know if anyone has ever played it. Remember it, it's a really good game. Like, I'm not a super huge fan, but it's really, really, really good. Like I beat it. It's really good. But the main character in that is all depressive and a loner. And they explain that, and it's because he's been alive. He's immortal, and he's been alive since forever. And he's going to keep being alive, and he doesn't want to connect with people because, you know what? He loses people, and he just keeps living. And they made a very human character. And it was a great thing. It's something that character, Kime. He'll always be remembered as one of the best JRPG protagonists of all time because he was real. Like, he was a person. He had struggles. He had reasons to be the way he was. And that, you know, just having a party of characters and whatever wasn't going to change that all that much. It was great. It was truly, he is one of the best video game protagonists in a JRPG that I've ever had the honor to play with as whatever. And then I mentioned someone like Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy, yes. Because I didn't like her at all. I really didn't like her. Okay, so I don't understand the whole, she's a very realistic character. She's one of the top tier. And look, I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, you remember this character who was the guy character? Oh, you could relate to him because of that. It's not about that. It's legitimately about how they were. So Kime was Deadpan, and he was a great character because he did change a little, like every character who's Deadpan will, because duh. But there was a reason why he was just Deadpan. And they went with it, and they did a good job just following that along until the end of the game. I thought that was great. But then Aloy, did I say Aloy at first? Because I'm an idiot. Whoops. Aloy, she's Deadpan. Okay? And then when you talk to characters and you choose what she gets to say, she shows some emotion, but also she's dead inside. Like, come on. What? Oh, no. I would always make fun of that because when I played that game, everyone who I knew who had played that game, since I always play them late because I'm a piece of shit, I'm like, hey, like, I don't understand how you can sit down and want to keep playing this game. This game feels good. It's cool. The combat's great. Enemies look amazing. It's so good. But that main character, dude, like, I can't. Like, she's surprised. She's supposed to say something in a surprised way, and she's like, oh no, that person died. That's not good. Not good. And by the end of it, I always kept saying, I hope they explain why. I hope they give me a good reason as for me having to play as this character that I dislike greatly because she is just a piece of wood. Just nothing. And then you find out that she's like a clone or whatever. And okay, that kind of makes sense. She's a clone or whatever. But also, no, boo, stupid. That's not why she was Deadpan. That's not why she was a piece of wood when it came to the emotions department. That's just whatever, the plot twist of the game or something. It does not explain why, because she portrayed emotions. She would cry, she would be happy or whatever. It's just that she was dead, but not in a good way. Like, it was never, you didn't get rewarded for having to deal with such a dead character. Just, oh no, you are in danger, I will save you. It was terrible. It was so terrible, and I hate Aloy, and I want to kill myself because Aloy is bad. So here we have these two Deadpan characters. And on one spectrum, we got Kame, which was good, and then we got Aloy, which was bad. And then we have Stock. And Stock is the only protag who has 100% immunity to you saying, oh, I didn't like that character, he was fucking dead inside. Because, yes, he was dead inside. Because, plot twist, he was dead outside. So, the whole thing about that game, and what you learn at the end, is that in order to stop the cataclysm, something about having to split up your soul into 2 chunks, but to do that you had to kill someone who you knew who was related to you, and then you had to split up your soul and put it into that other person, and then that vessel would like amass energy, and then they'd stop it. It's really convoluted and unnecessarily so, but it doesn't matter. So you find out that at the end of the game, or close to the end of the game, you find out that Stock is not Stock, right? So they had to kill him. They killed Stock, and what they had to do was bring him back to life by splitting the soul of his sister, if I'm not mistaken. So Stock was not him. It was the soul of his sister in him. Was it his sister? I should have done research beforehand, huh? I'm a piece of shit. So, you find out that he was dead all along. Like, that person you're playing as, Stock, yes, it's him, sure. But he dead. He's basically a zombie. Like, for all intents and purposes, they killed him and brought him back to life, and they needed to do that. And that's who he is now. Someone who they killed and brought back to life. He's a zombie. Yes. 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 You have no idea how many times when I was talking about Stock and how annoying, how utterly infuriating it was for me to have to deal with this person who they talk to, and then he's like, yes. And then that's it. I'm like, oh my God, Stock, I'm going to kill you. I don't know if they're doing this. Because, okay, for a story-driven game that you give me a character who doesn't talk a lot, you'd think, okay, he's the silent protagonist. But he was never the silent protagonist. He always had a voice. He talks in the game. Like, he doesn't talk a lot, but he does. Right? He's no Link. He's no Lunk. Right? He has a voice. He's his own character. Who are you, Stock? Why are you such a zombo? Because he was a zombo. Look, I don't understand. Like, I don't know if that's the reason why. I didn't do research because I'm garbage. But I don't know if that's the reason why a lot of people say just play through the game. The story is like really good. I don't know if it was the plot twist or the character development or the fact that, you know, he actually tells a character, hey, I love you, and then they get together. It's very good. I don't know if it was the party. You got a bunch of characters that are actually really good. I don't know what it was. I don't know, because I've never been a fan of for example, let me just say, like, Game of Thrones. I don't like it. I don't watch it. I don't like it. But that sort of thing, like, okay, war, and then these families, and then and blah blah. At first, I thought that that's what that game was gonna be, because it starts off and there's a war, and then there's these families, and then blah and blah. It's what it is. But it's really good. Like, it's really good. And what just the final piece of the puzzle to just click with me is what Stock turned out to be, and that he was Zombo. So you get to play as this guy, and you hate him because you got no emotions. But it's, of course, you got no emotions because you're Zombo. Like, it's perfect. Like, it's great. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I just wanted to gush and talk about it because a few people that I have talked to and that have played Radiant Historia just say the story's really good, and the characters are really good, and the intrigue and the war and the cutscenes and whatever, and just it's all good. It's great. You gotta play Radiant Historia. You don't gotta play, but you should play it, right? You should. If you own a DS, you should. But that just made it to me, for me, made it for me. It's just, you make the character a Zombo, and you force me to play with him for 60 plus hours, 40 plus hours, whatever. It took me a long time to beat that game. And he's a Zombo. And it's like, yeah, worth it. Definitely worth it. The plot twist is a little weird, and some of the characters are annoying. Soundtrack is superb. The added content for the definitive edition is not necessary, but it fills some holes here and there. The soundtrack, the OST, the whatever, the track for being on the boat, because you're on a boat in the added content. Your main hub is a boat, and the track from that boat is super good, and it's my favorite track in the whole game, and it's super good. It's super good. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about it and put my grain of salt, into the little jar of, hey, so we've played Radiant Historia, you should play it because reasons. You should play it because reasons, even though I spoiled everything. And I'm a piece of garbage who spoiled the whole plot twist. Did I say spoiler before I talked about that? I think I did. I did say you should play it before I covered my tracks, I think. I better have, because if not, whoops. So, yeah. Radiant Historia, I think it's worth a play, definitely. Just for Zombo. A lot more games should be as risky as Radiant Historia was, and force you to sit down and play with someone who you want to headbutt continuously, and just be consistent about it. So then they could be like, fooled you. You look like a fool because we fooled you. You fool. Because it was worth it, definitely. So yeah, top pro tags stock, definitely play it. Thank you for your time. I'm done. No more rambling. I'll try to do videos more like this. Just sit down and just speed through it. I got a lot of things to talk about. I have a list. I legitimately have a list, but I just don't got the time, or the energy, because I'm the worst. Thank you for your time. Subscribe if you want. Leave comments if you want. Follow me on Twitter at OneLongGuy. And I'll see you next time when I talk about another game that I've been wanting to talk about. And I keep saying that. And I keep changing the game because this was not what I was going to talk about the next time. Did I say in the last video what I was going to talk about? I don't think I did. Point is, see you next time. Yeah.